Cause I'm just trying to raise my vibrations. I've been in isolation. Let's go. Focus on me. I see they trying to break my concentration. I've been running low on patience. I ain't got time for the fake shit. Running stage in my place, meditating. I just pray that my faith keep the evils away. Cause I'm just trying to raise my vibrations. Tell me what you want.
What's up? Catalyst Chats, Topher and Joseph. What's going on, man? How you been?
It's going all right, man. How's it going?
Not too bad. That was Isolation by Miles Monday off of his new album, Either Way It'll Be Okay. You can stream that on all streaming platforms. Great track, great album.
Great artist.
Great artist, yeah. Super slept on, by the way. But yeah, man. Shit, nothing much. You know, been busy, working.
Usually, man, that's kind of how our lives have been lately.
Yeah.
If it's not putting in hours at the actual job sites, this or that outside of work, so.
Yeah, trying to balance it all.
Always. And we just had the holiday that came through, so.
Yeah, that was fun. Eventful. But, yeah, man, you know, taking it one day at a time, trying to sit more in the present. Something that we just talked about was mindfulness and presence. And honestly, it's something that I'm really trying to practice lately, is just being mindful of everything going on, everything transpiring, where I'm at, and living within that presence. I get so focused on the future sometimes, dude, and so caught up in where I'm trying to go and where I'm trying to be and where I'm trying to get this, and for us, as well as the other things. We had a couple conversations before this.
Off camera,
that other shit that's currently in the works that I think is going to be
big.
Yeah,
it's going to be big when we finally release it out.
Yeah, massive for us. Just trying to juggle it all, man, and not get too caught up in realizing where we're at already and like how far all of this has already came, and trying to be grateful of it and have the gratitude and the self-compassion to acknowledge all of it.
Yeah, same here, man. It's been one of those things that I've been working on a whole lot, is just being compassionate and acknowledging where I'm at and where everything's going, how things are transpiring, and that it could be worse and it's not where I want it to be quite yet, but at the same time, I'm a lot farther ahead than I give myself credit for.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, especially lately financials have been rough for me, so it's one of those things that I've got to really dive deep into and just be aware that it might not be how I like it to be or transpiring exactly how I want it or I planned it to be, but I'm still in a position where I'm able to make things happen and work my way out of it. So,
which is a blessing in itself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's some people that's not the case for them. You know, they feel that,
trapped.
Yeah, you know. But one of my favorite sayings is that what is it? It's rock bottom is firm ground, and a dead end is a perfect place to turn around.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite sayings because it's true, and I've felt like I was at both numerous times in my life. So I can get how it's a difficult thing to navigate when during that period of time it's hard to see the way out.
And I feel like that's almost the key, is acknowledging that there is a way out.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. Let me ask you this. Have you like wrote anything down? Have you tried practicing that at all?
So I know we've talked, I think it was episode 10, the Tough Talk segments, that we talked about going through therapy, and like even beyond that, just journaling things down, how you're feeling in the present moments, like when you wake up, after you go to bed, after you achieve certain things and goals. I have not, partially due to like, I like the idea of being able to write it down on paper, and I don't really have notebooks or anything like that right now.
I think I actually, now that you're saying it, because I'm pretty sure I brought it up even in that segment or in that episode, that I've got a lot of extra journals, bro.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's one of those things I just don't take full, for lack of better words, I don't take advantage of certain things, the blessings that I have.
Yeah.
I'm super stubborn-headed with certain things, and I like to try to just push my way through.
Yeah, it's there's pros and cons to that.
For sure, man.
Because
for sure.
something that I was just having, I had a conversation with somebody this morning about on the phone was, you know, I feel like a big reason why I have such a hard time with being self-compassionate as of right now and being present and being mindful of what I have going on right now is because I feel like I've already wasted so much time. And so I feel like I'm trying to make up for that. But then I have to have that level of self-compassion because I have to force myself to realize that the last 2 years in building this foundation, for lack of a better way to put it, with building this foundation, I was also relearning how to not be in fight or flight all the time. Right?
It makes sense, yeah.
The entire rest of my life was a constant state of fight or flight, right? It was just complete survival mode. And so I've had to relearn how to not operate out of that space, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
I got you. I understand what you're saying there. It's definitely a transition in life.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's a lot of internal conflict, right? Because when your body and your mind get so used, when they get so used to operating out of a certain space and out of a certain mindset, it's not an easy task to rewire your brain to look at things from a different perspective. It's not an easy task. It's especially a lot of us, and you know, me being one of them, you being one of them, we don't have the luxury of putting life on pause to step away from everyday life and from our responsibilities to have the time to make that happen.
To digress.
To digress and to make that happen in a little bit of a quicker time scale.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've got to work through all of these things while also dealing with the everyday life shit that we got, you know, responsibilities when it comes to finances or family members, you know, and the dynamics there with, you know, dealing with that it can be a lot, and it can be daunting at certain periods of time, and it's also really hard to keep it at the forefront of your thought that, like, hey, look, like when those old habits slip through and when they start to show, it's hard to get yourself to check yourself is really what it is, because that's what you're doing on a regular basis with that, is you have to check yourself when you have those thoughts.
Knock, wellness check.
Right, yeah, you know what I mean? When you have those thoughts, it's shit, like, nah, you gotta look at it this way, man.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. Like, could be this, could be just like how you were saying, right? Like, you're acknowledging that, like, yeah, things have been rough, but I have the opportunity to work out of it. Yeah. And that in itself is a blessing. It is such a blessing. And it's a hard one to do, man, you know?
Yeah, so. No, for sure. Look, it's, I think we talked about this off camera right before we started this episode up, it's one of those topics that me and you both can relate to very heavily right now, with just keeping in mind that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, this isn't everything. There's more to work toward. There's this to achieve. There's that to keep in mind. And just instead of thinking about the opposite side, the downward spiral, like, oh, what about this and that, especially with certain things that I got going on, I mean, beyond financials, like, keeping the mind state of it could always be worse, hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely. It's a difficult thing to navigate, dude. I think for me, one of my biggest struggles as of right now is, it's ironic because, like, the playlist that I've recently curated is it's blinders on, right?
Yeah.
And ironically, that's probably one of the biggest things I'm dealing with as of right now.
Is keeping the blinders on?
It's not even keeping the blinders off. It's remembering that sometimes it's okay to take them off.
All right. Yeah.
You get what I mean? And that's where you get into that mindfulness and, you know, being present and living in the present and not robbing yourself of what you've already achieved and what you have going on right now and the blessings that are around you as of this moment. Excuse me. But, as of right now, dude, it's like I'm so just one track minded on where I'm trying to get to that it's every little thing that is accomplished doesn't feel like it's not.
Yeah,
I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not taking the time to, pat on the back, good job, you know, like, attaboy. I'm not doing none of that shit. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I'm not where I want to be. It's
Right.
not exactly
It's like-
how I wanted it to transpire.
right.
Like,
It's like, I don't give a fuck that I just put $10,000 into building a podcast studio, and like the
Yeah,
podcast
and-
isn't big yet.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's little dumbass shit like that, bro. Like, that's just so, like, it's more of a getting caught up in what it can be than like what you've already done. And like,
Yeah.
the point is, like, this was the point.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now.
Exactly right now.
And doing it the way that we wanted to do it, that was the whole fucking point.
I mean, we've discussed this on the podcast plenty of times prior. This is something that we do naturally, no matter
Right,
what. Like,
yeah.
we'll get together after long days of work, and I mean, there's times where we're sitting in the car after work, just in my driveway, talking for an hour,
2 hours. you know?
after a 12-hour shift.
Right, yeah.
It's
And-
just what we do. We like to talk. We discuss topics. We discuss life.
Exactly.
And why not put it out? Because I think there's definitely things that people can take from this podcast and implement into their actual lives to better themselves.
Or even if it's not bettering themselves, to let them know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
That like this is all shit that like we all deal with, and then like when we have guests on, it's cool. Now you get something that's a little bit entertaining.
Yeah,
and
a little bit different.
maybe you learn about something, like, you know, I don't know, man. Fuck all that, but like it's just us having conversations that we're already gonna have, and then conversations with people that we want to have conversations
Yeah.
with at the end of the day.
That's all this is, man.
And fucking having the setting where we can sit down and hit record, and it can be something that's documented.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's really all I wanted from this, and for it to be a catalyst. That's why
Yeah.
it's Catalyst Chats. You know,
Yeah.
is because I want the conversations to be a catalyst, to lead to better things, and it holds us accountable.
Yeah.
Everything when we talk about things here, it's like, okay, yeah. So do
Are
you
they
want to look
bullshitting?
back?
Yeah.
Do you want to look back 6 months from now, and it just be like a fucking repeat cycle of like, oh, we're still talking about the same shit and da da. Like, I'm not trying to have that be the case either.
No, for sure,
you know?
yeah.
But that's also not going to say that. That's not saying that later on we might not have similar issues.
No, yeah.
Especially
I mean,
like
look,
our one-on-ones are almost always us talking about like our embetterment of ourselves and our current struggles and like where we're trying to elevate. And I mean, that was kind of the whole point coming into all of this.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's important that we don't lean
Differ,
away from that.
yeah.
Yeah. We don't defer from that just because now they're our eyes.
yeah.
Like, we talked about it in the first like episode or two. Like, we just didn't give a fuck because it's
No.
like nobody's gonna like
Exactly.
If
No
anybody
more
does see
excuses.
this,
Yeah, just get it started.
Yeah.
Actually start documenting it. I mean, to hold ourselves accountable to the things that we're talking about.
Exactly. And to not almost like not becoming like camera shy, for lack of a better way to put
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
Like, it's still just you
And
and,
that
me.
was before we even had cameras. Like,
Yeah.
we were just recording.
Deadass.
Yeah.
Deadass.
We were just recording audio.
Yeah. I think first time we had a camera was Sheltron, and like technically we didn't have we had a camera, but it was just my phone. Like,
Which,
we were running
shout
off
out to
of two
iPhone. They
Yeah,
have
yeah.
great cameras, but beyond
We were just
that,
running off of two iPhones though. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it's you know, yeah.
it's came a long way, man. And it's one of those things that we always got to take in and not take granted for. Be gracious of the fact that we've achieved this amount, and this is basically exactly what we wanted it to be.
It is. No, it not even basically. It is. You know, and now it's just like I said, man, it's that blinders on thing, dude. It's
Trying to move forward.
I'm not it's
and not
a lack of
soak in.
it's a lack of satisfaction, right? It's like a lack of content with what's going on, and I think that's because to me it feels like I was saying earlier, like like the patience aspect of all of this, it sits so close to complacency for me that like it drives me nuts, dude. Like, it really does. It drives me crazy. Like, if I'm not consistently, persistently on a daily basis doing something either for the podcast or for trying to get a business up and going outside of this, or whether it comes down to writing for my book, if it's not one of these things and I'm not doing it, it's like I feel like I'm not doing shit, bro. Like, even like spending time with the kids and stuff, like, it's becoming like I gotta remind myself, like, look, dude, like, you gotta like be here, be present with them when you're here and when you're with them. Like, you know, like this morning I spent like 2 hours up in their bedroom just like playing with their toys and stuff with them before I went to sleep, because that's what they wanted, right?
Yeah,
They're craving connection. So it's like, okay, like, you have to acknowledge it. Like, as a father, I have to acknowledge that. And it's like, okay, so I go do this, but it's the whole time I'm going through my head, like, the conversations I had with old boy that I was telling you about, that
future
for what's in the works.
projects.
Yes,
for
yeah.
what
It's
we got
really
going
hard
on
not
here.
to just like disclose certain things. But like I have all of that working on in my head, and then other things. I'm over here like, the moment I got out of the room, because like that's where my head was at. Is I'm doing voice memos into my phone about different ideas that can be added into this future project, and then it's 20 minutes later, then I get like this dad guilt. I'm like, damn, bro, but were you really like like, yeah, sure, I
Were
mean,
you
they were
present?
having fun,
Yeah.
and like you're playing with them and stuff, and like you're flying the spaceship around, but like the entire time you're just in your head, you're
Elsewhere,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
living in the moment, and it's a hard one, man. It's a hard one, but I also have to. It's coming back to that self-compassion aspect where I have to acknowledge that that's what got all this here too.
Yeah.
So it's a hard fucking thing to combat when it's like it works though.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
I still feel like it's operating out of a space of like, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to describe it. It's the blinders on, and until I'm,
where you want to be.
but where the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like it was 2 months ago that this was that. You know what I'm saying? Like 2.5, 3 months ago, February, when we did we
When we
talked
had
about
our
it in the
hiatus,
episode. Yeah, right before the hiatus. This was that.
Yeah.
Right? But then by the time we got here, this ain't that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like now it's a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at what point do I say, okay, well, there's got to be a set goal or something, like, I don't know, man. I really don't. I don't know, because it just keeps.
I feel like one of our
pushing
favorite
forward.
artists, Russ, he talks about it in one of his songs, Journey, about like you think that the goal's the goal, but realize after you achieve certain aspects that the goal wasn't the goal. It was the journey to get to that goal is what actually you wanted, is what you actually wanted, is what you were thriving for, is what you were passionate about.
I wish I could connect to that right now, because like what I'll say is that, and I think it's because it was such a short span of time, right? Like realistically, dude, like all this shit has transpired very fast.
A few months, bro.
And
it's only been like 3 months since our hiatus
And
started.
I still feel like not fast enough. No, faster, like quicker, And I think that's just a part of that is the landscape that we're in, right? A part of that is social media, instant gratification. All of these things, they play a part in that, right? And I've also had to acknowledge recently with myself that there's no doubt I have a dopamine addiction, right? And so like I'm trying to,
As we all do, though.
Right? Yeah. I mean, fucking everybody spends hours on their phone scrolling, whatever
and
it
shit.
is,
That's
right?
just dopamine release.
I get mine from other sources, but it's the same thing. It's still a dopamine addiction, no matter what. So I've had to force myself to acknowledge that, but trying to get away from it is a whole nother thing, right? Because I get dopamine from this.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like this shit hypes me up. It makes me like so ecstatic to sit here and do this. I get dopamine from seeing progress within all the projects that we got going on. Just seeing progress and like, when the table was getting finished, when the sign finally came, when I got the email that it was coming, when I get an email that new equipment's on the way, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's a dopamine addiction in itself. Because it there's nothing that hypes me up more than building shit. Than creating.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? So like, that's a dopamine addiction in itself. But it's also like, at what point is it a problem? Like, is that a problem? Right? And I don't know, man. It's all of it's a hard balance, and I'm trying to work it all out. It's also, as of right now, it's all new. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being in a position where I'm able to do all of this is new.
It is, yeah.
Right?
It is new.
So it's
Actually having the
Russ,
foundation.
look, I'll quote Russ again, like, this is new money, let me get a handle on it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, that's how it feels though.
Yeah.
That really is how it feels. And it's also navigating that landscape with like family members now, and then also like we were talking about it directly before this, and I'm getting a little bit off topic with like the main point, but it's still a relative point because it's tied into all this shit, right? Like, it's difficult to talk to anybody about finances or to not like we were just talking about how like fucking over the weekend I sent money to a bunch of family members and it was just basically like here. You know, you were like I was offering you like almost
excessive amounts of money for a broken car.
Yeah. But it's a hard thing to deal with, man, when like it's like this. I feel like I have like this level of guilt because you know, it just doesn't feel right to have and not
give.
Right. You know what I mean? But then at a certain point, it's like, well, where the fuck do you
draw that line?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, where does that come into play where it's like, okay, well,
it's detrimental to the main goal.
Right. And like, I haven't seen that yet. Do you know what I mean? Because like I take care of the main shit first.
Yeah.
Like the main shit's always first. So it's like, to me, it's like when there's this access of, it's just fucking numbers on a screen, bro. Like I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And if it's not numbers on a screen, it's paper in my pocket. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as the rent's fucking paid, there's groceries in the house, the kids are fed, the bills are paid. After that, bro, like it's all fucking a fugazi, fucking pixie dust. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah.
To quote the Wolf of Wall Street. But no, that's how I feel about it though. You know, so it's I don't know, man. All of it, there's so much shit all at once. You know, we've talked about this in the past where like everything, everywhere, all at once is really like what is going on right now for me, and it's new, man. It's new, and it's hard to navigate all of it because it's a new landscape, and it's also
new terrain is always hard to navigate.
Right.
You're always going to find challenges that you didn't expect or didn't plan for, things that you're going to have to overcome, and this is seeming to be one of them. Like you never expected this to be an issue, but yet here we are talking about it.
You know, and it's like majority, like it's all internal.
Yeah.
There's also that, right? Is knowing that it's all internal. So, I mean, one of the ways that I'm trying to combat it as of right now is like getting back into reading, you know, so.
It's funny that you say that because we mentioned Russ a lot this episode specifically, but realistically, he's one of our favorite artists, like personally one of my favorite authors as well.
Yeah.
And his
it's
latest
all in your
book,
head, get out of your own way.
Yeah. It was you all along. Yeah. And I was about to suggest that. It's a book basically about navigating self-troubles, whether they're directly related to what you're dealing with or not. Isn't exactly like I don't think that he's talking about the exact same issues you are having, but at the same point, there's things that you can take out of that to implement into your daily life.
And I agree.
Yeah,
you know, I agree. Like I've read the book twice.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, man, I'm one of those people that's like I could give the best advice, and it's like why? Because I've consumed a lot of the best advice, but I seldom take it for myself. I am one of to a certain extent, of course I do, but it's like the shit that could help me the most. I'm pretty bad about doing that. I've noticed that, you know. And
Same.
I'm working on it though. I'm working on something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There you go.
So it's a process, man. All of it is a process as of right now, and
you gotta learn to be gracious of the things that you do have and not get too caught up in the things that you don't have, the things that you haven't achieved yet, the certain numbers on a screen that like, we expected, maybe not have gotten, whatever the hell it is. But
I'll say this, that the only other time I've kind of been at a point where I could have done similar things, but I didn't have the foundation that I have now, right?
Which is what the last 2 years has been.
Right.
Just building that foundation to be able to put something on.
But back when I was staying in the journey, when I was living in the car and, you know, quite literally sleeping on the fucking baby mattress in the back of my car in the middle of winter, which you can testify to. You were there. You seen the shit happen. Yeah, you know. But I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, every day. And I was banking a lot of money. Like I had a lot of access funds. But it was, those funds had to get put towards something, right? But during that period of time, dude, like I can remember waking up and it being, you know, 17 degrees outside and shit, you know, and I'm in a car. And it's like, but I was always like, yeah, but I've got these 4 blankets. Like only my head is cold right now. And I'm able to jump up to the front of my car and start my car, and you know, within 15, 20 minutes it'll be
warm.
It'll be warm in here. And like it was all the little things, man, that I counted. Like I just made sure, and it was something I had to do, right? Is in that situation, especially given the entire circumstance and why it was transpiring, with the, trying to do this, with like trying to embed, like make an embetterment for not only myself but for my family and my children and everything. And it was absolutely the most important part when it came to my mental health and when it came to my mindset, and continuing to strive through that was making sure that every day I counted every blessing, bro. Like, I was blessed to have the blankets. I was blessed to have a roof over my head, even if it was my vehicle's roof, right? It didn't matter. I was blessed to be able to start that car and have a source of warmth. I was blessed to have a job that I was able to put in the hours I was, to put aside the money to fund all of this shit, right? Like to get out here and to make these things happen. Like everything, every little thing was the big things, right? And I feel like I've kind of strayed away from that mindset. And again, it's, it comes back to that learning how to not operate out of that fight or flight, that survival mode, like retraining my mind and my body to not operate out of that survival mode, where it's, you have to look at things like that, right? And now it's more of a, you get to.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
If that makes sense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, now it's like, yeah, sure, you can choose to focus on all the things you haven't achieved or where you haven't gotten to yet, but you can also choose to acknowledge and to know that you're, and I'm not saying that I don't know that, bro. Like, that's also, it's that part too. It's like, I know I'm blessed. Like, I truly am, and I'm grateful for all of it. And like, I know that in an instant moment, it could all also be taken away just as quick as it was given, right? Yeah. And I'm appreciative for where I'm at and for being able to even have these problems. But it's also like, that doesn't mean that it's the first thing I fucking think about when I wake up is like, oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful, like, and counting all my blessings. And that was what I was doing in that scenario. But it was also, technically like rock bottom. It was a lot, like, everybody thought I was fucking nuts, right? I'm sure you remember that. Like, yeah. Everybody was like, what the fuck do you mean you're staying in your car? Like,
it's the middle of winter.
Middle of winter, bro. Like, what do you mean you're staying in your car? Like, aren't you working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? Like, yeah, like, what the fuck are you doing staying in your car? Like, what? Like, I'm sure, like, people probably thought I was on drugs or, like, but I didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it was...
The outside perspective didn't actually
It didn't matter, bro. And it still doesn't, right? Like, I still don't care about what people think. You know what I mean? That's not something... That's something I do pride myself on, is that, like, I couldn't give two fucks about how people feel about what I'm doing, or, this and that and the third, because it's like, man, like, y'all got your own shit. Focus on you, don't focus on me. Yeah. You get what like, that's how I feel about it, right? But it's a matter of, that was rock bottom, and but I'm blessed to be here, right? Because, like...
Was it rock bottom, though, or was that just a dead end?
Oh, it was probably a little, like, I don't know, man. It was probably a little bit of both, right? But, like, even, you got to think about, it was everything that I surrounded myself with at the time was shit to elevate off of that, right? Like, one of my favorite quotes comes from Big Sean, and it's on the playlist that I built during that time that was specifically curated to get me through the work shifts that I was doing during that time, which is the Mindset 2023. And it's available on Spotify.
Joseph Howard James on
Spotify. Mindset 2023 if you're interested. Fucking banger playlist. I don't care.
He's got quite a few on there that you can scroll through and listen to.
And I think it's on Note to Self.
It's
Note to Self by Russ, which is off of Chomp 2. But it's Big Sean's line on Note to Self, and he says a lot of people claiming
rock bottom is as bad as it gets.
Yeah. A lot of people claiming that they down bad as it gets, but understand that rock bottom's a bottomless pit. Always someone doing worse off than worse as it is, right? And like that's some like real ass shit, bro. Like rock bottom is a bottomless pit. No matter how bad you're doing, there is somebody that's doing worse, right? Yeah. And it circles around to like that. Like there's a meme that circles around on like fucking social media every like, fucking 3 to 6 months, where it's a dude sitting at a bus stop, or no, it starts off with like, yeah, it's a dude sitting at a bus stop or some shit, looking at somebody with a car, like, oh, I wish I had a car, and then like, or at a person looking at, somebody with a bike, and like, oh, I wish I had a bike, and then a person on a bike looking at somebody with a car, like, oh, I wish I had a car, and somebody in a car looking at somebody in a plane, like, oh man, I wish I had a plane, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's an endless cycle.
It is.
And that's why they say like comparison is a thief of joy, right? Is because if you get to that point, then it's a matter of like, what the fuck are you even, you know what I mean? Like, you're not, right? You're not being grateful for what you have. And I think like with us talking about the gratitude and acknowledging like the blessings that you do have, that was a good point. And I think to a certain degree, like even the fact that I'm sitting here and I'm willing to have this conversation about it, right, is like I acknowledge like that I should be more grateful and I should show more gratitude. I'm trying to operate out of a space where I wake up feeling that way again, but not out of a space of fight or flight and survival mode.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah. So you're not in the I have to do this to survive. It's more of a I'm gracious
I'm just blessed.
because
Right.
I'm blessed.
Like
yeah.
I feel like I got to completely rewire my mind all over again to get back to like that point and that not be the case at the same time. So it's a difficult one, but we're working on it.
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, that's what life is. It's just trials and errors, or trials and tribulations.
Trials and tribulations, yeah. I think that's actually that's one of the tracks that's on Mindset 2023. Maybe not.
Maybe.
It's definitely on one of my playlists.
There you go.
By Ace
Somewhere.
Hood, Trials and Tribulations. Great artist as well. Ace Hood, super slept on. Yeah. Anyways, you want to segue into something else or talk about something?
So
I feel like I've just been fucking rambling nonstop for like the last hot minute. I had a lot of shit to say, I guess.
So what role would you say self-compassion plays in gratitude? Being gracious for your situation and the things that you have going on.
That's a great question. A lot for me, man. As of right now, like I said, dude, like I'm trying to work on having that compassion for myself and acknowledging that, like, I am trying to relearn how to operate out of that space. And it's realistically, it's spiritually, bro. It's like that's really what it is. It's like I'm trying to, like, I'm working on operating out of a new spiritual space and it not being that survival mode and fight or flight, and acknowledging that a lot of this and a lot of the way that I operate on a day-to-day basis is still out of that survival mode and fight or flight. Like there is like it's this or fucking
Nothing, yeah,
or death,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the way I operate, bro. And it's not a good headspace to be operating out of.
For sure.
It's really not, dude. It's like
I never really thought about it
tearing me down.
personally, but I'd say I'm in a similar state of just like, on one hand, I'm trying to be compassionate with myself, give myself space to make mistakes, do certain things, and learn from said mistakes or whatever. On the other hand, I'm in that, if you fuck this up, like, it's over. Like, I mean, you're in a downward spiral now. Like, it's a rough thing to navigate, because, like, I feel like for myself, I have real big goals for myself. I put expectations on myself more than what others can.
Right. Yeah.
So when I don't meet said expectations, I tend to do that
yourself
downward.
up a little
Beat
bit,
myself
yeah.
up about it. And I find that that's almost more detrimental to everything than just failing in itself, in thinking of the
agree.
failure as a stepping stone.
It's crippling.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's crippling because it's a domino effect of, oh shit, well, I didn't do this, and then however your self-talk goes then leads to you not doing anything. Yeah. Which is crippling, right?
Yeah.
And
which is even more detrimental to the whole process in the first place. It's
Absolutely.
taking a couple steps back way more than I need to or should.
How do you feel like routines affect that? Because it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. There's a lot of routines that I know I have that better help me with these thought processes. But at the same time, the time management aspect of these routines is what really gets me. Especially with the schedule and how daunting it is. But then sometimes, dude, I just feel like I'm a fucking lazy fuck when it comes to getting off of work in the morning. Like,
no doubt, man.
You know what I mean? Like
Fucking doubt.
The time I have where I could be doing these things is directly after work, before like the kids and the old lady get up and stuff, you know. But it's like I get off of work, dude. It's like
Kaput.
you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, we'll have,
man.
if it's towards the end of the week, because I know that we got the podcast coming up and stuff, right? That's when we really have those conversations, right? Like we'll sit in the driveway and talk for like an hour and a half, and a lot of that's okay, what's going on, what do we want the topic to be, or have you talked to this person, or have we set up this, like, you know, it's just trying to figure out everything before the weekend hits, right?
Yeah.
And other than that, though, dude, it's like I get home, I take a shower, I eat, and then like I'm fucking talking to my phone. You know what I mean? Like, which we've discussed. You know why that is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean with the what's
Projects,
going on. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's it, bro. Like, there's so much shit. There's so much more shit I could be doing though. Like, I could easily, like, I'm always up till at least 7:30, 8 o'clock. You know, now typically about a quarter after 7:30 is when the kids wake up, and so from that point forward, it's, you know, I'm being dad on, like, you know, getting them situated, getting them
breakfast,
you know,
food,
their
or whatever,
breakfast, their drinks, changing diapers real quick, so on and so forth, and then, you know, oh, you know, you had a bad dream, sorry buddy, whatever, right? Like, it's just the regular routine at that point. But then there's always roughly about an hour and a half, I'd say, because like what we typically get home now, some days it's different, right? Some days I don't even clock out till like quarter after 6, or like or quarter till 6. And then it's like I'm not getting home till 6, you know, anywhere between 6 and 6:30, realistically, right? But it's still, even at that point, it's like, what, a shower I can get done in 15 minutes, right? Like, eating and a shower, it's like, that's a half hour. That leaves me with a half hour where it's like I could implement a small routine, whether it's, you know, a quick 15-minute workout and then a cold plunge or something. But like, a cold plunge is definitely not something I want to do after work, because that's going to wake me the fuck up.
Yeah.
But aside from the point, bro, aside from the point, it's like I could be building better positive routines that are going to help with this, and it's a struggle, right? Especially with navigating all these other fucking projects and shit. And it's like sometimes I'm wondering if I'm stretching myself too thin, but then I also feel like at the same time, like, I'm not doing enough. So it's like, how the fuck does that make sense, right? And I wanted your perspective on how you feel about how your routines impact that thought process on, like, battling that compassion and then that downward spiral of thoughts when you don't hit the goals and expectations that you place for yourself. Do you think routines have a big impact on that thought process?
I think it's very big, man. So it was one of those things that Roy said when he came over the other week, whatever, when he helped us put up the sign. Shout out to Roy Martin for that. He's clutch, came through with that. But he said something along the lines of, like, when I'm watching the podcast, I want to see Topher, like the real Topher. And I feel like a big part of how that was the routines I had in place at that time. Like,
right.
I was eating healthy. I was still doing workouts. Like, I felt good about myself. Like, the internal dialogue wasn't as rough on myself as it is and it has been lately. And when he said that, it kind of hit me deep, thinking about it, and made me spiral into well, why is that? And I think routine is one of the biggest factors in that. Is just, I don't have that said routine because of this or that, and it's just kind of been downwards. And granted, it's not been super fast. Like, I'm still going to work. I'm doing things that I'm supposed to. Like, most of the bills and shit are covered. Like, I'm good. But at the same time,
it doesn't change where that internal dialogue is.
A few months ago, I was doing better for myself and with myself. And it's part of that with the routine is why I think I felt so good about myself and felt more lively. I mean, he literally said, like, the last few months I was working where we were working, like, he's seen a big difference in me, period.
Right, yeah.
And just how I went about daily life. And it was one of those big things that I thought about, and I've been wanting to implement more routine and back into my life is just kind of getting back on to eating more healthy, getting workouts and things like that. because I feel like that pushes me to better myself in general, but at the same time have a better mind state.
Do you think
on where everything is?
Do you think that the leading cause of dropping those routines was the change in shift? Was it, what do you think? Like, what do you think that the leading causes were? Because, like, technically, by all technicalities, now you have more time, right?
Yeah,
like not
no
even
doubt.
technically,
Yeah.
you have a lot more time now. Is it just like, was the switch? Is it a matter of like trying to figure out when to implement the routines, or what do you think it is?
So I've been thinking about it, and like you said, like once we get off work, I really don't go to bed till 7:30, 8 o'clock myself, and a lot of the time, like due to certain dialogue and just whatever, like I'm not really going to bed until like 9, 10 o'clock, like when I actually fall asleep to get some rest. And within that time, I've been thinking about implementing more workouts and stuff again. I feel like one of the big driving factors that like changed a lot of that was my car taking a shit on me and not having the ability to go to the store, pick up, good groceries, go grocery shopping, things like that. Not having the ability to go, if I want to actually lift some weights, go down to the Planet Fitness, hit a good workout there, tire myself out. If I want to get a little massage or whatever going.
Right.
And I feel like between that, like my car not working anymore, not being able to do stuff like that, and having to either walk to go get whatever the fuck done.
Yep.
And between that and kind of just that shift change, we discussed it. That first couple weeks was really rough for me, man. It was bad. Like, I didn't give myself but one day to transition from 12 hours in the day to 12 hours at night.
Which, against advice.
Yeah, it was. But at the same time, it was kind of just...
It was also understandable why you did so.
Yeah, it's finances, bro.
So.
It is. Yeah. And I worked it out a little bit, so it cushioned that. But at the same time, lack of sleep gets to you after time, man. And it was... I feel like that whole downward spiral with, just health issues that I was dealing with, I think we chalked them up to being massively fatigued at this point. But at the same time, I was really worried about myself, and
it definitely psyched you out.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely psyched you out, and I noticed that. I do remember that. And has that improved a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. There's still little things here and there. Like, I gotta get the funds around to go get a fucking chiropractic adjustment. That's for sure. Yeah. Like, I feel like
there's cheap ones here in town.
Yeah, I feel like for sure, man.
I'm just saying there are cheap ones here in town.
Yeah. There's cheap everything if you want to go around it. It's like I said, finances lately.
I got it, man.
But at the same time, I feel like between not having the freedom to do certain things like grocery shopping, going to the gym, if I want to go out to Manhattan, grab me a vape pen or whatever the fuck, things like that, was the initial downwards. And then with the shift change and just not knowing how to navigate and time management, really, not having that knowledge of how to manage my time properly throughout that shift change, I feel like those two were real big on what made me get to where I'm at now.
Did the difference in job affect it either?
Don't get me wrong, this job is way more physical, but I've done way harder things.
The dynamic of the job, right? And
for sure,
going from being one of the guys that people come to then being having to start over and be new.
That was a big shift, a big change for me, especially the first week or two. I think I remember telling you that one of the supervisors that, not really supervising or whatever.
I don't fucking like your attitude.
Yeah, was telling me, he was like, I'm tired of these fucking questions you're asking, things like that. And I feel like that's partially due to the fact that...
So we're super unprofessional, but
bro, whatever.
Dude, I will say this, and not condoning that, how he went about that, but I am also aware that specific individual had dealt with, over the last, 3 to 4 months, maybe even longer, 20 different groups of new hires and shit that are just so he's been dealing with the revolving door and this and that, So just trying to give him a little bit of grace there, because he is a good guy.
Yeah, exactly,
He's
man.
a good guy,
There's
so.
no heart, bad blood or whatever the fuck you want to say, but at the same time, like,
That is definitely going to be
it was when it really like switched to, I was like, all right, well then I'll just spend my time here. Like, I'll just do whatever the fuck. Like, if we're not running, I'll just stand here. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck learning that, fuck learning this. Like, you got me fucked up at that point.
Yeah.
But I do know that, like, this first couple weeks, I was real avid on trying to actually
learn the process.
and adjust and become that guy again.
There's also a different dynamic there per line than like what we're used to, or what we were used to with the previous area, where it's like, you know, you have like basically a lead on each line, and then you have like a sub lead, and then like, you know, or I guess like you technically have like 2 leads on a line, and everybody else is just doing like, you know, just following, right? Like, and just trying to go about. And I think for me, that was a weird one to navigate that first couple weeks, because it was like, the fuck is going on? Like,
yeah, you know what I mean? Sub leads and another layer under that, and then you got the average person who's just working there, and it's definitely a weird dynamic, that's for sure. But at the same time, I don't think it's that much different.
No, yeah.
But I do think that was a big switch in the mindset of how to carry myself around this place, I guess. Which I don't think that really had too much to do with things happening outside of work, with mindset and just internal talk and things like that. But at the same time, it could have been one of those catalysts that, you mean, like another one of those little things, like another weight on the shoulder that's kind of like, all right, well, this side's going to lean down some.
Just one of the bricks.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, what do you think that... Let me ask you this. What are some things that you think... Give me 3 things that you think you could implement that might help. And I'll give you 3 things for like my shit that I think that will help.
All right, so 3 things. First one...
That we can work on over the next week.
The first one that I've been thinking about is just going on a light jog in the morning. Like, it's not super hot outside. Yeah, it's not super hot outside or nothing. Like a 15-minute jog down the road or whatever to the nearest park, and then 15 minutes back, 30 minutes, not a whole lot of time, but very good for, the mental, allows me to think and think about certain things, and like everybody says, runner's high.
Yeah.
So
it takes a while to get there, though. I will tell you that. For sure,
no doubt. I mean, look, cardio is one of those things I've always
strayed away from.
I've never, like, I'd rather lift some weights than go running. But at the same time, it's really good for the cardiovascular and I mean mental, everything along those lines. And it's something that I could do realistically tomorrow, today, the next day, whatever. Yeah. It's not something that I'm hindered from doing. Next one, I feel like other than the podcast, I haven't really been doing much to better, like, where I want to be. So, like, one of those things I've been thinking about, because it's one of those things that I've been able to do a little bit more often lately, is playing video games, is starting to implement streaming into when I play video games. Just putting extra content out there just for whatever, but at the same time, like, adds an extra element to that, so it doesn't feel like I'm just wasting time. Right, yeah. It feels like I'm being somewhat productive with the time and the hobby that I like to do. Third one, it's one of those ones that I know I won't be able to implement this week, but getting back into eating better, period, is just... I've been eating nothing but, like, DoorDash bullshit, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, fucking processed, nasty shit. Like, I had a breakfast sandwich in my fridge this morning from somewhere that I ate, at Burger King, actually. Nonetheless, I went to go heat that bitch up, and... Dude, it looks nasty. It's fucking all greasy and shit. Like,
I've been there.
Like, I was like, I took 2 bites and I was like, yeah, this bitch going in the trash. Like, I can't get myself to eat that. And it's one of those ones that I wish I could start implementing sooner, but this week definitely not. Is just like getting back into actually eating healthy and like, you know that our work provides a cafeteria type area for us to get whatever the fuck we want.
We can have a conversation to further that on that aspect. We can have a conversation afterwards.
But all right, go ahead. You hit your 3.
I think for me, I think personally, I think it's going to be important to get back into journaling. That's something that has always helped me. with my mental state and how I feel about what's going on, as well as dealing with the pressures of where I'm trying to get to, right? And how that weighs on me with, navigating it. So I'm going to say journaling, first and foremost. Second, I'll agree with like the jogging thing. And so if it's something that you're really serious about, I say that we can, I'd be down to do that with you, man. Like, we can roll up here. I mean, that's as easy as just having a set of clothes ready to go, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just having some shorts ready to go and shit. And then, so I'd be down to hit that with you, because I also feel like then it kind of makes it even more of a,
working towards something with somebody. Yeah, I got you.
And then third, I'm going to say getting back into cold plunges.
All right. I know that was something that we talked about over the weekend.
I haven't been in my cold plunge. I really need to get back into that, because that was something that, when I was on my cold plunge kick, man, life felt better. I felt better about everything, dude. Like, it's that simple, right? So I'm going to say getting back into my cold plunges, because that's something that, I can implement this week if I want to, so.
All right, yeah. And I like
That's
those.
gonna be my third
I like
thing.
those.
Yeah.
Journaling. When you said that, thought to myself, it's as simple as asking you if I could get a journal, and it's something I already have pens and shit.
Bro.
So it's one of those things I could implement. It might swap from getting better, healthy food, or eating better diet, or whatever.
It's not a terrible thing to do both.
Damn straight though. Yeah, it really isn't.
Look, I will say this, man. I'm here, bro. And it was something that you said at the beginning of this episode, is that you're super stubborn, super bullheaded, but I'm here, man. And if you can't use me, I'm useless. If I can't use you, you're useless, right? None of us are trying to be useless, right?
For sure, yeah.
And I think one of the things that you're struggling with, that's it's something that I can help with to a
certain degree, yeah,
some extent. You know what I mean? And to at least help ease that load, because what else the fuck is the point in all this, right?
For sure, yeah.
That's the whole point why we're all here, and it's just it's a group effort, it's a team effort, and I think if we implement all these things, I think next we'll probably feel a lot better. Yeah,
I think next week the conversation will be much different. That's funny, but
But that's the whole Catalyst Chats, bro. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
is to for this to be a catalyst on, to improve upon.
For sure.
So.
And it also holds us accountable. This is going up right after we're done with this episode, so.
Yep, and we're going to get the clips going and everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was something we implemented last episode with Sheltron, our first episode that we actually clipped out and posted them up.
So if you haven't seen them yet, you can find them on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, and you can find a couple of them on TikTok. I took a lot of them down on TikTok because TikTok really let me down.
Yeah,
TikTok flopped, man. Bro. That was the one place I didn't expect where I actually expected things to do something, and it didn't do shit. Didn't even move a needle, bro. But it is what it is, man.
Can't win them all.
No, I can't win them all. That's all right. So I think we're at a perfect point to get off of here. I have no idea what we're going to title this. We can Mindfulness and Presence. Episode 12, Mindfulness and Presence. Is this episode 12 or 13?
It's 12, yeah.
I think it's 12.
11 was with Sheltron.
Yeah, 11 was with Sheltron, so we're on episode 12. Mindfulness and Presence. Or practicing mindfulness and gratitude.
Something.
Conversations about.
I think presence is better.
We're gonna figure that out afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So you'll see if it's that Chats. Or if it's something else. And on that note, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more Miles Monday and deuces.
End this out.
Don't be acting like I owe you when I don't. But if I